Thanks, Dr. Vale. Dr. Reddy actually brought up some good points that kind of separate in your minds what navigation can do, but really what the robot can do, because we really don't want instrumented jigs. We want navigated instruments. So that's really the future of, I think, of robotic surgery. And a few years ago, when somebody brought, a fluoro machine into the operating room, I would say there were many old gray-hair surgeons thought that was a crazy concept. Why do you need fluoroscopy? And now it's certainly standard for fracture care work. So, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, I think the robot will be more and more involved in our procedures. I am a consultant for Mako, but not for their knee work, only for their hip work. So what are the issues? We have an aging society. This disease is becoming more and more common. There are a lot of options. Osteotomies are technically difficult to do. Total knees aren't always perfect. So, let's really focus on the uni here as a model to look at partial knee replacement. Well, what are the positive features of unis? Well, they give you better kinematics because preservation of the cruciates. It's a quicker recovery. It feels like their native knee because of you preserve the cruciates. But durability is the issue, as we learned already from Dr. Moria. And here's the bottom line from the Swedish registry and multiple registry data is that unis don't hold up for all surgeons as well as total knees. We also know that it's really dependent on your volume. So if you do a few cases, you're going to get less positive results. So why robotic surgery? Well, the issue is durability. Let's maximize this. Let's make it a more durable operation. We also know that malalignment in the frontal and sagittal plane can cause failures, so the robot can help us with that. We also know that there's a steep learning curve for a partial knee. A partial knee is limited exposure. It's a harder operation than a total knee. I think everybody would agree with that. We also know that the robotic surgeries had been very effective in both the prostate and the heart, so we'll use their experiences to help us. Well, what are the negative features of unis? Well, you have these high failure rates, steep learning curve, less indications. You have problems with edge loading. You have problems with dealing with large deformities. You have progression to the other compartments. Medial compartment overload, that to me is what that medial knee pain is, and you have that difficult knee conversion. So what does the robot give you? Well, it gives you accuracy, up to 1 millimeter. This can eliminate malalignment. It can eliminate those early failures. It can eliminate edge loading. It can eliminate overloading the lateral compartment. And interestingly enough, it eliminates the surgical learning curve. Unlike, say, the learning curve for a hip resurfacing, the very first robotic uni I did looked exactly consistent with my preoperative template. But it can't eliminate all problems. The robot can't eliminate fixation. That's the surgeon's job. It can't eliminate amount of tibial bone resection, as my father was talking about before. These are some inherent problems with unis. So, what is the robot? It's a surgeon interactive robotic arm. You are guiding the robot. It just gives you a haptic force field. However, it's based on a CT scan you got to get beforehand, and it lets you template exactly what you want to cut and exactly what you want to do. It eliminates instrumentation, it eliminates intramedullary intervention, and you get an intraoperative flexion extension assessment. So this is an example of from the Mako system of what the haptics force field is. And again, this is kind of the operative setup. This is, I think, a little overly minimized in terms of the size of the incision. My incision is much smaller, but again, it's a bird. They're moving also towards a saw-based system as well. So when to do it? These are the classic indications by Dr. Scott. You really want to focus on the elderly, lightweight. You want to have an intact ACL. You want to have a near normal lateral compartment, correctable varus, minimal deformities, and good medial bone. I think that's very important. This is kind of how you do it. You have to get that preoperative CT scan, and from that preoperative CT scan, you'll then make an assessment of exactly where you want to put the components. So you have to decide. There's two implants right now. There's an inlay system and an onlay system. We've learned now from the French that I think a complete neutralization of varus to 0 degrees is probably an overcorrection. I still keep them in a degree or two of varus, and you want to contour the femur to the patient's native subchondral bone. You got to put in arrays just like in navigation, and registration takes about 10 or 15 minutes. Here's, to me, the most fascinating thing about the robot is then you do a correction. You put the knee through a valgus stress, and then you think of how the knee would be corrected if you had a reconstitution of their chondral surfaces. This is real-time flexion extension gap balancing. And you get information like this where you want to keep this implant 1 to 2 millimeters loose in all flexion planes. And then at this point, you can adjust the tibia, you can adjust the femur, and any single plane you want to do, and then the robot will accurately put it where you want to put it. The next thing is this. You then can cut the tibia first or the femur first with a bone cutting instrument. This is an inlay, so it's an all poly tibia technique, but you can also do an onlay where you have a metal back technique. And you do the same thing on the femur where you're using this high-speed burr, you burr down the femur. And this is an example here. These are what your post-op x-rays look like. As I said, 1 millimeter accuracy. You don't want to completely overcorrect, so I put them still in a few degrees of varus, just maybe a degree or two. You want to match their slope. You want to get appropriate sizing and a very good segmental. So as I said, there's both inlay and onlay options, and they're also having patellofemoral options. So the benefits of knee resurfacing to me is bone preserving. It's easy revisions because you don't take a lot of bone. There's no bearing instability, there's no backside wear, and there's no problem with the locking mechanisms. But you do have problems with medial knee pain because of poor support. So you can also use a metal onlay for heavier patients, and this has an improved locking mechanism. But there's still problems inherent with the uni. Here's just quickly that an experience out of our institution. One of my partners reported his learning curve, which was 0. His first x-ray looked as good as his last x-ray. So is the robot worth the cost? Well, the heart and prostate surgeons seem to think so. The question is, what's more expensive, the inputs of this robot up front, or a cost of revision from an early failure of a uni, or even the cost of revision of a total knee that was put in on a 45-year-old? So the future is out there. There's lateral unis, there's total knees, robots, there's going to be total hips, there's going to be resurfacing, we'll hear more about that. Impingement surgery, ACL, any bone cutting procedure can use the robot. Thank you very much.